All right. So, anyone who's even a little bit interested in AI is losing their minds over Grok 3 right now. And I know you've been following it like crazy. And I've got this whole stack of articles that you sent about these new voice features it has. And, well, let's just say things are getting a little bit interesting.
Interesting is putting it lightly. I mean, we're not just talking about, setting reminders and checking the weather with a chatbot, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is Grok 3 from Elon Musk's ex-AI company.
Right.
And it's like they're ripping up the rule book on what we thought AI could do, and the reactions have been pretty wild.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to try to unpack today.
For sure.
What is it about Grok 3 that has everyone going nuts? The articles you sent all talk about this new unhinged mode.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not exactly what you picture when you think about a helpful AI assistant.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
We're all used to AI being all polite and predictable and maybe even a little bit boring, right? Well, Grok 3 throws all that out the window. This unhinged mode they've got, well, it lets the AI swear and insult people. It can even scream at users.
No way.
Yeah, and there was even this one case where some AI researcher pushed it too far and Grok 3 let out this 30-second scream.
What?
Yeah, and then just started hurling insults at the guy.
I mean, on the one hand, I'm kind of dying laughing. Like a screaming AI, that's some straight-up sci-fi comedy gold right there.
Yeah.
But it's also, so different from what other AI companies have been doing. They've all been so careful about, making AI safe and responsible.
That's the thing. This is where it gets really interesting. XAI is actually coming out and defending this feature.
Really?
Yeah, they're saying they want to give people an uncensored AI experience, like a challenge to this whole idea that AI has to be polite all the time.
So it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm really curious. What do you think about XAI's reasoning here? Is there a method to their madness?
Well, I think there could be a few things going on here. One possibility is that they're tapping into this whole cultural shift we've been seeing. You know how anti-heroes are super popular in movies and shows right now?
Yeah, totally.
People love characters who break the rules,
Mm-hmm.
The unpredictable ones, who might even be a little dangerous.
Right.
So it wouldn't be a surprise if people want the same thing from their AI. Something different, something real, something a little less sanitized.
So they're going for the edgy, rebellious AI.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that's a bold move, considering how much other companies are freaking out about making AI safe and, ethical.
Absolutely. It's like XAI is making Grok 3 the anti-establishment AI. The one that doesn't play by the rules. And, it's definitely getting people's attention, but it's also raising some serious ethical questions.
Excess.
Like, is it responsible to make an AI that can be offensive on purpose?
Yeah.
What happens if it starts saying really bad things to people who are vulnerable? People who might believe it or be hurt by what it says.
It's a bit like giving a toddler a loaded gun, isn't it? How could that possibly go well?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. Grok 3 isn't just about this whole unhinged personality.
Oh, yeah.
It actually has a bunch of different voice personalities.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not just about being shocking and outrageous. It's about having options.
Right.
It's like those choose-your-own-adventure books.
Yeah.
Where you pick different paths and end up with different stories.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I think XAI is going for here. They want to make a truly personal AI experience. That's when it starts getting really interesting. Imagine having an AI companion that's made just for you. It knows what your sense of humor, how you learn things.
That's crazy.
It's like having a digital best friend who also has access to all the information in the world.
That's amazing and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. But it also brings up these questions about control and responsibility. Who gets to decide what kind of AI personalities get created? What if people start making AI companions that just reinforce their own biases and prejudices?
Well, now we're getting into some really deep stuff that I think we'll have to unpack in a later episode.
Definitely.
But for now, let's stick with what we know. You mentioned earlier that the reactions to Grok 3 have been kind of all over the place. What are people actually saying about it?
Well, it's been super polarized. On the one hand, you have people who are loving the whole uncensored thing, especially the unhinged mode. They think it's hilarious. And a breath of fresh air compared to all the AI that's super cautious and predictable. Their argument is that it's just a machine, right? Just a tool. and we should be able to interact with it however we want.
So they're embracing the chaos.
Exactly.
But I bet there are a lot of people who aren't too thrilled about the idea of an AI that can just start insulting them.
You're right. The other side of the argument is people who are seriously worried about the ethics of it all.
Yeah.
They're saying that even if it is just a machine, an AI that can be abusive is basically normalizing that kind of behavior.
Oh, I see.
And that could have a ripple effect on society as a whole.
That's a really good point. I mean, words have power whether they come from a person or a machine. And when you have an AI that can be super convincing and tailored to you, there's a real danger of it being used to manipulate people or take advantage of them.
Exactly. And this is where you can see a huge difference between what xAI is doing and what other companies like OpenAI are doing.
Right.
OpenAI has been way more cautious. They're really focused on safety and making sure AI is aligned with human values. You know, they have all these safeguards built in, so their AI models can't just start saying offensive or harmful stuff.
So xAI is taking more of a hands-off approach, like they're letting the AI do its thing?
Pretty much. But you have to wonder if that could backfire. You know, what if Grok 3 starts creating content that's not just offensive, but actually dangerous?
Yeah.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? xAI is basically gambling that the good stuff that could come out of an uncensored AI outweighs the risks. You know, they're saying that if we let AI express itself freely, even if it gets a little offensive, sometimes we can actually learn more about what it can do and maybe develop even smarter and stronger AI systems in the future.
That's a risky bet for sure. And it could change the whole AI industry. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, I think it's important to remember that this is just one company with one approach to AI. There are tons of other companies and researchers out there who are working on AI that's both powerful and responsible.
Oh, absolutely. You're right. It's important to keep things in perspective.
Yeah.
Grok 3 is a really interesting case study, but it's just one piece of the bigger AI puzzle.
Okay, so we've got this chatbot that could be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on which voice personality you choose. We've got a company that's pushing the limits of AI development and kicking off a huge debate about ethics and responsibility. And we've got a lot more to talk about.
Definitely.
So stay with us, folks, because this deep dive is just getting started.
It really makes you think, you know, of where all of this is going, especially with how fast AI is changing. I mean, we went from these basic chatbots to AI that can create these whole different personalities. And now we're talking about, you know, people designing their own AI companions.
I know, it's mind-blowing. And it feels like Grok 3 is this turning point. You know, it's like they're forcing us to really think about what we want AI to be. Like, do we want it to be predictable and safe, or do we want it to, like, break the rules and take risks?
It's like xAI saying, you know, screw the rules. We're going to do things our way.
Yeah.
They're totally shaking things up. And you know what? Even though they're being controversial, they do have a point.
What do you mean?
Can we really understand what AI can do if we're always trying to control it? If we're always, like, setting limits on it?
That's true. It's like trying to raise a kid in a bubble.
Exactly. You keep them safe.
Yeah.
But they never really experience the world.
Right. They never learn and grow.
And that's what xAI is saying. You know, they're saying that if we give AI more freedom to, like, explore and experiment and, yeah, even mess up sometimes, then we can unlock its true potential.
Okay, I get that. But there's a big difference between letting a kid, you know, explore a playground and giving them access to nuclear weapons.
Yeah, good point.
That's what makes this whole thing so tricky. AI could be so beneficial, but it could also be incredibly dangerous if we're not careful.
You're right. And that's why this whole debate about AI ethics is so important.
Yeah.
We have to find that balance, you know, the balance between the good that AI can do and the risks that come with it.
Yeah, but that's tough, especially with AI getting so complex.
Right.
It's not like we can just program in some rules and expect it to always follow them perfectly. AI is learning all the time. It's adapting. It's evolving. It's almost like it's alive.
It really is. And that's what's so exciting and so scary about it. We're creating something that could become smarter than us. You know, it could solve problems we haven't even thought of yet.
Exactly.
But what if it starts to evolve in ways we didn't expect? Ways that could hurt us or hurt the planet?
It's like opening Pandora's box.
Yeah.
We're letting something out into the world that we might not be able to control.
It's a pretty serious thought.
It is. But it's not something we can just ignore. We have to deal with it. We have to understand what AI can do and what it can't do. We have to make sure it's used to help people, not hurt them.
I agree with you there. And, you know, that brings us back to Grok 3 and all those different voice personalities.
Right.
All the attention has been on that unhinged mode, but there's so much more to it than just, you know, being offensive.
Yeah.
You mentioned those other personalities like storyteller and romantic and even unlicensed therapist.
Yeah, what do you think all these different personalities mean for the future of AI?
Well, the possibilities are pretty amazing. Imagine using the storyteller to make up bedtime stories for your kids.
Well, that's cool.
Or using the romantic personality to help you write a love letter.
Wow.
Or what about the unlicensed therapist personality? Like, it could be a safe space for people to talk about their feelings and stuff.
So we're talking about more than just entertainment here.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about AI that could be used in education, mental health, even creative writing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just the beginning. Think about research, data analysis, problem solving.
Yeah.
I mean, if people can design AI personalities that are specifically made for certain tasks or areas of knowledge, the possibilities are endless.
That's incredible. But then again, we have to think about the ethics of it all.
Absolutely.
If AI can interact with us on a personal level, if it can understand our emotions and what motivates us, we have to be super careful about how we use it.
I totally agree. These AI personalities have to be designed with people in mind. They have to be used ethically. We need to be having these conversations about the risks and the benefits.
It's about finding that balance right, pushing the boundaries of what AI can do while also making sure we're not creating something that's going to turn around and bite us.
That's it, exactly. That's what makes all this so interesting. We're at this really important point in the history of AI, and the choices we make now are going to shape the future.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. But it's important for everyone to understand what we're dealing with here. Grok 3 is more than just a funny chatbot. It's something that could change the world in ways we can't even imagine yet.
And that's why we need to be having these conversations. You know,
Yeah.
we have to be informed and engaged and willing to ask those tough questions.
I totally agree. So as we continue to explore Grok 3 and what it means for the future of personalized AI, let's focus on the customization feature.
Okay.
This whole idea of people building their own AI personalities is probably the most fascinating part of all of this.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's also the part that could change things the most. What are the possibilities and what are the risks?
All right, so we've talked about unhinged mode. We've talked about all these different personalities. But the thing that's really blowing my mind is this whole custom AI persona thing. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It's a total game changer. Like, imagine having an AI companion that's not just smart, but it's like totally personalized to you.
Yeah.
It knows what you like, how you talk, even your sense of humor. It's like having a digital best friend, but one that can access all the information in the world.
I mean, I get why people would be excited about that, but I also keep thinking, like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
What happens when these AI personas get so good, so personalized, that people can't tell the difference between them and real people? Like, what if people get so attached to their AI companions that they start ignoring their real relationships? You know, that's a really good point. And it makes you think about the bigger picture, you know, like how AI could affect us psychologically. We're social creatures, right? And the idea of having this companion that's always there, always understands you, that could be really appealing.
Right.
Maybe even addictive for some people. It's definitely something we need to be aware of as this technology keeps developing.
It's almost like we're creating a whole new kind of relationship, something that's never existed before. And like any relationship, it could be amazing, but it could also be really painful.
That's a great way to put it. And it really highlights why we need to be thinking about the ethical and psychological side of this technology. We have to make sure that we're developing AI in a way that makes our lives better, not worse.
So it's not just about what AI can do, it's about how people will use it and what the long-term effects might be.
Exactly. And that's why it's going to be so important to learn from the people who are using Grok 3 right now, you know, the early adopters. By seeing how they're using this custom persona feature, what kinds of personas they're making, how it changes how they act, that's going to give us some really important information about the potential benefits and risks.
It's like a giant social experiment.
Yeah.
We're putting this powerful technology out there, and then we're just watching to see what happens.
Right. And we don't know what's going to happen. There's a chance that AI could help us solve some of the biggest problems in the world, like climate change and disease.
Yeah.
But there's also a chance it could be used for bad things. You know, it could make inequality worse or even become a threat to humanity.
It's a lot to think about. But it's important that we do think about it. You know, we can't just pretend that AI isn't changing the world.
Definitely. We have to be informed and engaged and willing to challenge our own ideas about what AI is and what it can do. And that's why I think what XAI is doing, even though it's controversial, is actually a good thing.
How so?
And pushing the limits by making us confront these tough questions, they're helping us have this important conversation.
That makes sense. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Grok 3, I want to leave everyone with one last thought. The future of AI isn't set in stone.
Right.
We're all shaping it with our choices, our actions, how we interact with this technology.
Whether you're excited about AI or worried about it,
Yeah.
one thing's for sure, it's not going away. And the more we understand about it, the better prepared we'll be to deal with it and to make sure it's used to help everyone.
Well said. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll be back next time with another exciting topic. Until then, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going.